Hi, this is Joe Shannon. I'm a lawyer, a husband, a father of 6 kids, and I also host a podcast called Opening Statement with Joe Shannon. Please consider listening to our podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple, and any other folks that host podcasts. Just Google Joe Shannon and podcast, and you'll find it. I hope you enjoyed the show.
Well, I've been looking forward to this interview. You know, it's really fun for me to see somebody go from being a kid and growing up through high school and college, and then getting a great vocation and job. You know, we've interviewed those people before. I want to introduce you guys to a really cool young person, Erinn Casey, who is from my local parish, St. Joan. And I've always known her as a kid, with her and her whole family sitting there and at mass, and her father was a firefighter, mom's a school teacher, 3 other siblings. Really cool to see them grow up and different jobs throughout. But now she's working for the Chicago White Sox, which is fun. So welcome, Erinn Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Shannon. Thanks for having me on the show today.
Yeah, well, you can call me Joe. You can just
okay,
Joe. just call me Joe. Yeah. So it's although we've known each other that way, we're more peers now, because you're a big professional. So
okay.
So tell us a little bit about your present job. What are you doing?
So I started about 1 year and 4 months ago with the White Sox, and I am a digital video coordinator. So I work in the digital communications department. And work very closely with our social media team, just to create content for social media, for YouTube, just both on the field and off the field content with our players.
So that's a pretty cool first job.
It is. And to be honest, I didn't expect that to happen right out of college.
Yeah. So I think I may have told you this, but my wife is a lifelong White Sox fan, and a number of my kids are big White Sox fans, and I'm a Seattle Mariner fan. I grew up a Seattle Mariner fan.
Okay.
Are you a baseball fan, Erinn?
I am. Mm-hmm.
All right. Before we get underway, do you think that my Mariners will ever be in the World Series?
I don't know, but I hope for your sake that they will. I'm hoping that the White Sox make it back there one day, but I hope the same for you.
Yeah, so it's been a trail of tears, Erinn, because, the Mariners came to Seattle. I was living in Yakima, Washington, and
Okay.
I think I was 13 or 14 years old, and so it was so exciting. And so let me do the math here. It's been 43 years, and we've never been to the World Series. So
Yeah.
It's getting Cub-like pretty quick here on these numbers. And so, yeah, but I'm excited to talk to you about baseball a little bit. So, all of us are starved for entertainment, especially sports, because, America's, sport is baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you get involved as a kid with baseball? Did you like it?
Yeah, I grew up in a family that was divided. My mom was a Sox fan, dad is Cubs fan, and both of their respective families are the same. So baseball was always on the TV. I started playing softball when I was 8 and played all the way through high school. So it's always just been, sports in general have always been a big part of my life, both on TV and playing them. But softball was definitely my favorite, and that's why I continued it so long. And I couldn't be more thankful for that now, because it definitely gives me an advantage with the job that I'm in right now, having played it on my own and kind of knowing the back end of the game and just kind of the mentality of the players.
Mm-hmm. So most important part of your resume is that you're in St. John Parish and you went to St.
Mhm.
Joan of Arc grade school, which by the way is the best grade school in the United States, at least the lower 48.
is.
So yeah, so I want to throw that plug out there. But then you went to Downers North High School, right?
I did. Hmm.
And then where did you end up going for college?
I went to Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana. I chose to go there because they have a really impressive telecommunications major. And not only that, but what specifically drew me there was they had a specialization under that telecommunications umbrella in digital sports production. And it is the first university in the country to have a major devoted specifically to sports production.
Well, that's cool. So
Yeah.
that prepared you for what your job is now, right?
Yeah, and it was a seamless transition because everything that I did at Ball State was hands-on, and I got exposed to so many different things in the industry, all in industry standards. And so when I transitioned from Ball State to the White Sox, it was just a continuation of what I had been doing for the last 4 years. So it was really validating to see that the education that I was getting at Ball State was all that it was hyped up to be.
Well, that's cool. And then, so you did a little bit of video production as well?
Yes. So in our major, there's about 40 of us, and all 40 kids kind of have different interests. So some people wanted to do in front of the camera work, and some people wanted to do behind the camera work. I went into it wanting to be in front of the camera and being a reporter. And very quickly, once I found out how much went into that and how competitive that area is, I found myself more comfortable behind the camera and doing more video production.
Well, as I understand it, the producers of stuff, at least as films, make all the dough. So stick with that. I think that may be the best thing. Although I think you'd be great. Like right now, you're great in front of the camera. You're a good spokesperson, etc. So, so tell me about it. What exactly do you do for the White Sox? This is exciting.
So it's kind of all over the place. I try to do a lot of different things, and I think that's the best part about my job. And our department is about 8 people or so, and specifically in Sox TV, which is the group that I guess I would say I'm in, or the mini department I guess that I would say I'm in. There's only 3 of us. So while that presents a lot of challenges, it also works in our favor because there's 3 of us. We can pretty much do whatever we want if we have an idea, different ways to showcase the players. If we have the idea and we have the ability to do it, they give us the green light to go right ahead. So I've found myself enjoying showcasing the players to be one of my favorite things to do. So I love interacting with the players during the season, during spring training. We have a ton of great guys on our team. And I love being out there on the field before games, after games, just capturing like the raw footage of players interacting with each other, because I think that's really what connects fans to them, not just when they're cleaned up, sitting in for an interview on TV, but just seeing who they are just in the dugout or coming in after warm-ups. Fans love that.
Yeah, I was like, that we've all been during this whole coronavirus break that I would call it. We've all been kind of captivated by the Last Dance video, which is a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, which, people love that. I don't think they like it. I think they love knowing the behind the scenes, what's really going on. I mean, they see the greatness of these players, but they like to see the humanity of it. Is part of your job to bring that out?
Yes, it 100% is. People just want to see these athletes that seem to be larger than life, humanized, just like you or I, because that's really what it boils down to. Is they're just average people. They just have a pretty cool job. and I think they appreciate that when people see them like that as well, because they just want to be accepted for who they are, like the rest of us. But yeah, it's definitely a huge part of the job is just showing them for who they are.
Right. So, before I move on, I saw this really cool thing on the internet, kind of alluding to The Last Dance, in that, Michael Jordan was a Chicago White Sox player, and I think he played for the Bulls. I'm not sure, but yeah, no, he did. He played for the Bulls. Yeah, yeah. But that piece of art that you put together, I'm hopeful that maybe we can, figure out a way to just put a link to that, because it's just
absolutely
amazing. So tell me how that all came together.
So at the beginning of this, when we found out that The Last Dance was going to be moved up and shown starting in April, my department had a conversation about what we wanted to do, because as the White Sox, are in a unique position because he played for us for a short period of time. And no other team, there's no other team out there that would have been able to showcase that in the way that we were able to. And we knew that at some point, after a few episodes, we realized that there was going to be an episode here that they touched on his career with the White Sox. So we were digging through old archived footage with him, different photos, which are really cool. I always stop and I look at all the photos whenever I see them, because they're just really, really cool to see. And the craziness surrounding his time with the White Sox, which the craziness followed him wherever he was. But I wanted to come up with a unique piece of content, something that we made, and it wasn't like just taking an old piece of footage and just repurposing it. So something that I've been wanting to do for a long time now is to hand draw animations on an iPad. And it's very time consuming to do that, but I figured now would be a better time than ever to do that. And so my idea was to show Jordan hitting in a Sox uniform, and as he's running, to transition into him in the Bulls uniform and going up for a dunk. So I used the iPad, drew it frame by frame. There was around 90 frames all told in this little 7-second piece. But it turned out really cool, and I was really excited with it. And I found a call from Harry Carey when he played against the Cubs in a spring training game. And Harry Carey had the call to it, so I put the call underneath it.
Oh my gosh.
It turned out to be just a really cool piece, and the internet reacted, or just the engagement on it was just mind-blowing. I couldn't believe it. I was really humbled by that.
The coolest thing ever. I mean, I was watching it, and then I think I saw your dad post it and say, "Yeah, my daughter did this." I was like, "Yeah, I know her. I know her. That's great."
It's cool to see. It's cool to see my diehard Cubs fan dad having a soft spot for the Sox now that I'm there. That's for sure.
Yeah, I bet you he doesn't care. He's probably pumped that you work there, and he probably is slowly becoming over to be a Sox fan.
Yeah, definitely.
So, one thing, I having my wife be a fan, and I know my daughter Emma and my son Will are Sox fans, and one of the guys here, Pat Cummings, is probably one of the hugest Sox fans I know. He and his father Dan, and so they're all over this team. They like the rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
But talk about the great characters that you have. I mean, you got I love Abreu.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's great, but now you got Eloy, you got Makata, you got all these young guys coming up. You got Tim Anderson, who's like become bigger than life.
Mm-hmm.
Got these great pitchers. I mean, the buzz around the park must be palpable.
Oh yeah, it's been such a long time since people have gotten this excited over a White Sox team, and I think it just makes it even better that we have such a great group of guys. They're just as nice in person as you see them to be on camera, and they're just as fun. Like, it's not an act that they're putting on, and I think that team chemistry is going to take them a long way. if the core of this team, like what you were saying, Abreu and Moncada and Eloy, stay like this, it's definitely exciting. And you can tell in the office that just the days seem to go by faster because everyone's in such a great mood knowing that we're on the doorstep here.
Oh yeah. So it's really fun to go to the games now and see that. I wish we could go to the games.
I know.
But so and you work right in the stadium, right?
Yep. That's where our offices are.
That's awesome. So tell me about, what are you, I mean, this is a little bit of inside baseball here. What do you think is going to happen? I know that I'm not going to hold you to it, but what do you think is going to happen for the season?
I don't know. I don't know anything more than what the general public knows, and that's the truth. I'm hopeful for a season because I think that would bring everybody's spirits up, and it gives people something to watch during this dark time. But who knows what's going to happen, because ultimately the health of our players and our employees and just everyone across the MLB is more important than getting games in. So we'll see. I don't really know what's going to happen, but I'm hopeful for it.
Yeah. So I mean, talk about an ambiguous situation. I mean, I've read everything from that. The baseball games are going to be played all down in Arizona, and they're going to be confined down to Arizona. If that happened, would you probably go to Arizona then?
See, I'm not sure, because I remember when they originally talked about that, they were talking about how they would have to quarantine all the players as well as all of any staff that comes in and out of the facility. So I think if that were the case, it would require me to go down there, and then I wouldn't be able to do much. I would have to stay down there, and my life would pretty much just be going to the ballpark and coming back, which wouldn't be the worst thing compared to what I'm doing now. But everything that's being thrown out is just kind of just guesses. So I don't even know if they would send me, or if they would use someone that's already living in Arizona to go and capture this stuff. But I know that the more recent plans that have been rumored to be going out are the teams playing at their home fields and then shaking up the divisions so that we'd be playing people or teams more in this area. But and in that case, I would assume that I would be able to go in and out of the park and do my job while keeping distance from others. But I'm not sure. I know it doesn't really help, but I would hope that if they do come back and they're playing in Chicago, that I'd be able to go into the office and do my job.
All right, so give me your favorite White Sox memory. What do you got?
Oh, well, this probably it doesn't involve me working, but I this past year went to the Cubs-Sox game at Wrigley Field, and I had won tickets. I was sitting a few rows behind home plate in Wrigley, some of the greatest seats that I've ever sat in at a baseball game, and I had 2 tickets, and so I asked my dad to go with me because he was the one that gave me the love of the game, and of course he's a big Cubs fan. But Sox were down during the game, and I believe it was the 7th inning or the 8th inning. Eloy Jimenez came up to the plate and just ripped a home run, the game-winning home run, and it was one of the most exciting things that I've ever seen in person. And just to be able to share it with my dad was really cool, and also just the fact that he's my favorite player currently on the team, and just with all the storylines that were involved with him being a Cub and then being traded to the White Sox, and knowing how powerful that moment was for him too was really exciting. Yeah.
I watched a ton of games. One of the things that people in my generation, for the record, I'm 56 years old and very happy to be 56 years old. Anyway, so my generation loves to watch baseball on TV, men that are about my age. And so I keep it on all the time. So I've watched tons and tons of White Sox games. And watching this kid, this Eloy Jimenez guy, he is all natural, baby. Yeah. I mean, the guy is electric, and then that smile that the guy has. I mean, so to me, he's just such a fun to watch. He's like, got a joy for the game, but he's also clutch. I mean, you know, I know that people say he's not the best defender in the world, et cetera, but I think he's going to eventually, after he's in the big leagues for a couple of years, he'll get that down, and they'll say, oh, what a great defender. Defender. But it seems like to me he's a hard worker too.
Oh, he's a super hard worker, and it's really cool because he's taking after Abreu. All those guys in the clubhouse love Abreu, and I think with them re-signing him, it's going to pay off dividends for just the team off the field, and just the chemistry and just his work ethic. He comes in every morning at spring training at around 5:30, and he gets his workout in early with Abreu. And it's really cool to see that. But yeah, he's a very hard worker. He realizes that his defense isn't where it should be, but at the same time, he's 22 years old. And that's the really cool part about all of this, because he's just a monster at the plate, and who knows where it's going to take him if he keeps working hard like this. And like you said, his smile and his energy, it's fun because it's like you're watching a kid out there just playing because he loves the game of baseball. And for him to be so dominant in that position is really fun to watch.
Talk about monsters. What about Moncada?
I know.
That guy's got superstar written all over him.
Yes.
I mean, going from second to third, which is, you know, if people know baseball, is like impossible. And then handling third the way he did, and then having a great season like that. I mean, that guy, how old is he?
I would say he's 24, 25. He's also very young.
I mean, these guys are all so young.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, these guys are like really young guys that could be there for a long time.
Yeah.
And tell me about Moncada. What makes him tick?
I'm so happy for him after the season that he had last year, because I remember everything that was – I can't imagine all the pressure that was circling around him just after his first year and a half. People are saying he was a bust. He was struggling at the plate. He was playing at second and making errors left and right. But I know he worked really hard the last off season before last season to get his swing where he wanted it, and to get his. I think a lot of it for him was also his mental side of it too. Get his swing down, and then he moved over to third base, and I think he just thrives over there because he doesn't have as much time to think when the ball gets hit to him because it's right there. But he had such a great season last year, both at third base and at the plate, and you can tell that weight has been lifted off of his shoulders, and he's so much more fun, and he just walks around with this confidence that he didn't have before, and everyone can see it. And I love that too. So the sky's the limit for him too.
Oh my gosh. Those guys. And then you got the guy that had probably the best season last season was Tim Anderson.
Yeah.
I think he led the league in batting average, and is just an unbelievable shortstop. And I really like how he, you know, kind of wears his emotions on his sleeve.
Yeah.
And, you know, and to me, I you know, some people say, oh, it's showing people. I don't think that. I think the guy is just confident. He loves his team, and he wants to psych the guys up. I mean, what makes Tim Anderson tick?
Oh, yeah. I loved him, and I know that people have different opinions on him, but he's one of the most down-to-earth guys in the clubhouse, even though he can come across as cocky sometimes. But I think that's exactly what gives him his success. He walks around with this chip on his shoulder, and it gives him the confidence to go out there and do things like that. He has such a great story. He started, I believe, at a community college or a junior college, and he didn't pick up baseball until later either in high school or college. And that's different than most of the guys. Most of these guys have been playing baseball their whole lives. So for him to be such a great athlete, to pick it up so late and to be where he's at now is really impressive. But yeah, I think he brings a different spirit to the team than what we had before. Without that, he brings a little bit of a fire and an energy that rallies up the rest of the guys too. With both those bat flips and all the energy that he brings to the team.
So
yeah, he's fun.
Tell me, what position did you play when you played softball?
I was a pitcher mostly. I did enjoy playing middle infield here or there. I played third base when I was younger, when I was in the in-house leagues. But then once I got to high school and I saw, some of these girls that come up and just crank the ball to straight down third base line, I was terrified. And I knew I was never going to be able to have fast enough hands to read any of that. But yeah, I was big into pitching all the way up until my junior year, when I unfortunately had a stress fracture in my spine. So I kind of stopped after that. I didn't really do a ton of pitching after that, but then I finished out my high school career playing left field. So
yeah. So so do you think that you could strike any of these guys out as a pitcher right now?
Right now, probably not.
Yeah.
Maybe I could have thrown them off in my time.
Because I see these softball pitchers.
Yeah.
That because the pitchers, the rubber's closer to the plate,
mm-hmm.
and they strike out these MLB guys.
Oh yeah.
Left and right, because it's on them before they know it. It's a riser and all this type of stuff.
Right.
So, it is. Some of these pitchers are. I can't remember her name was Finch or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
She was a pretty good
Jenny
pitcher.
Finch, yeah.
Yeah, I saw her. Strike out some MLB guys. I thought that was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you go on YouTube, you can find a video. It's called Sports Science that ESPN did, and they break down the pitches. And I believe, unless things have changed since I was pitching, the softball mound is 43 feet away from the plate. And then I'm not sure how much longer the MLB mound is, but even though there's a huge difference, both a softball pitch and a baseball pitch, regardless of the speed of the pitch, they both come in around the same velocity because of that distance with the mound.
Right.
And the delivery is just so different, like with the softball pitch being underhand versus a baseball pitch being overhand, that throws off the batters. And I think that's when you see those videos of softball pitchers striking out the baseball pitchers, is that there's so much more movement when you see it coming, or when it comes from underhand, an underhand fast softball pitch from such a short distance. And in softball, you can have like the rise ball, the drop curve, a curve ball. Like there's so many different pitches that can be thrown. And then when you mix up the speed, it's really tough.
One of the producers of our podcast, Sydney Bettina, she played in college as a softball catcher for Western Illinois. And I always find that fascinating, how these, that sports, the competitiveness of somebody in sports translates into business. And, she's just very competitive about putting this on and all that kind of stuff. But I would love to see you pitch to her, and then the calls and stuff. But could you throw those pitches? Could you throw the curves and the risers and all that stuff back in the day?
I pretty much did a fastball. I threw kind of an off speed. I had a change up, and then I did throw a curve, and that was probably my favorite one, was the curve.
Yeah, you like see them like swing way beforehand and all that?
Yeah. Sometimes I would throw it and I don't even remember what I would do, but it would just take a bite right there at the end, and my dad and I would both just look at each other and be like, whoa, that was cool. Because he would catch a lot for me, but yeah.
So break down some of the pitchers for me. So you got Giolito. The unbelievable year. Was he in the Cy Young running, wasn't he?
He was in the running. He didn't win it, unfortunately, but he was an all-star last year, which he had an unbelievable year on the mound. And I think he made a huge change in his pitching or like his what am I trying to say? Like his throw. Mm-hmm. So he's a tall, lanky guy, and you would never expect by looking at him that he'd be this athlete. But he would have like this long motion for his delivery, and they over in the off season, they shortened that up, and it worked. And it clicked.
Electric stuff.
Never looked back. So it's really cool to see that.
Yeah, and then you got some other guys. Really young pitching staff. I think they learned last year. They kind of grew up a little bit. Then you get the big fella on the shelf, the young guy, and so we'll see if the flamethrower can come out
Yeah. Yeah, we've
But-
got a lot of good pitching this year, and I know last year it was a question like midway through the season what we were going to do, because we didn't have, I would say we didn't have depth, but we've got a lot of depth when it comes to starters now, so it's really exciting to see that, as well as people who the relievers and closers. So
you get Dallas Keuchel now.
Yeah, we've got Keuchel, and he's just got a different kind of pitch, especially when you see it in person, but it works for him, and it's great it was really cool to see. But that's what I'm really disappointed about, is we had all of these pieces finally, and now like for this season, and it was looking really good in spring training, and now who knows how this season would have played out.
Well, we'll see. So hopefully we'll get an abbreviated season, and then it'll be the Mariners and the White Sox to go to the World Series. And then if one of them makes it, then one of us will be happy. But I think you better start getting ready to start putting your artistic talent to start drawing some World Series stuff.
That would be that's the goal. I'm looking forward to that if that day ever comes. We always talk about that in the office, just how great it'll be if and when that time comes. But I think the process getting there is going to be a lot of fun.
All right. So before we wrap up, what's your favorite food at the ballpark? What's the I think the White Sox concessions are the best. My favorite, and I'll take give you some time to think about it. I like the brats and with the onions on there and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is the best ballpark food. And I just smell it when I walk in there. I go, okay, I'm getting that.
Oh, it's
how about you?
Especially because I go to work in the summer every day, and it smells like hot dogs and brats, and it's hard because I just want to have a hot dog every day. I do love the brats there, but I would say that you can't go wrong with just a classic Chicago style hot dog when you're there at the games.
Great.
Yeah.
Hey, well, listen, Erinn, I wanted to make sure that you make a commitment that you'll come back to talk to us about what's going on with the White Sox and all the stuff you're doing behind the scenes and with the players. But I really want to thank you for coming out. Anything else you want to say before we head out?
I would say just for all the fans out there, just to be patient out there and get excited, because I'm very confident that this team is going to go pretty far. And when it happens, it's going to be really exciting, especially considering everything we're all going through right now.
That sums it up. So, hey, a moment of optimism from Erinn Casey. And then make sure you guys go to Facebook, go to Twitter, go to the White Sox social media stuff. Check out that really cool, I guess it's like a video, but it's an animation of Michael taking some swings and then ends up dunking the ball. It's great. That's all Erinn Casey's artwork, and I hope you got some protection for that, because I think it's going to be worth a lot of money down the road there. And so, well, listen, thanks so much for joining us, and we will check in with you later on, hopefully during the season.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the opening statement with Joe Shannon. You can find us on the internet at shannonlawgroup.com or telephone our office at 312-578-9501. Have a terrific day.